talking. Okay, we're recording. Everybody's jumping on live. Thank you for jumping on and joining us. So let me just briefly introduce Lexi here. So Lexi is a newer diagnosed ocular melanoma mom of 3, right? No, 2.
Two.
I have 3. You have 2. And she was diagnosed January 31st of 2020. So, you know, the crazy year, she understands. So Lexi, I'm going to just kind of let you take it away and just share your story as though you were
maybe telling it to someone who has never heard this before. Right. Well, so like you said, January 31st, I was diagnosed. And I would say probably at least 6 months prior to that, I noticed some change in my eyesight. I'd always had 20/20 vision. Never had I been ever, besides elementary school, to get my eyes checked. Sadly, because I did not know that this was a thing that people do who have good vision. So yeah, like I said, you know, the baseball game where my girlfriend was like, you can't read that over there. And I'm like, no. Okay, then I knew then, okay, I should have probably gone right away, but I could still see things, you know? So then it finally, like, I did make the call and something clicked. Get the first appointment that you possibly can. So I did call around all the local areas. The first appointment I got was the next day. You know, they said, oh, you know, on the list, would you like to get your eyes dilated? We recommend this for patients above 35, patients with, you know, a chance of, you know, all these other diseases that could happen with your eye. And I ticked no, because I'm like, why would I, you know, I'm 35 now. I'll be not going to dilate my eye. So I'm very thankful that that doctor that day at the clinic had asked me. He must have known something was off with my left eye. And he basically was like, can we please dilate the eye? Fine, sure. I said yes. And I noticed him paying so much attention to this eye. And I'm then starting to get obviously very worried. I made some jokes like I do. And little did I know, he told me to have a walk around and come back. And then he said, you know, he saw something, maybe a tumor, maybe a detached retina, and to move on to a specialist down the road. I went down there. This time now,
was this the same day or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Right away. He made some calls and he said, there's a doctor down the road. He's not seeing any patients. He said he'll see you. Maybe your husband or someone can meet you. So at this point, Duncan met me, my husband, and my son. So obviously I was freaking out to hear tumor. So that guy had said, just be happy. It's only a detached retina. We're going to have to move you on quickly to another place. Now this place was closing. Can you get there in 30 minutes? Sure. I zoomed over. They were all closed down waiting for me. Now my mom had somehow knew something was wrong and she was passing me and me and her went together. My husband went home. And now I'm thinking I'm going for detached retina surgery or something maybe. And yeah, she confirms this is ocular melanoma. Obviously that was devastating. So my mom had sent me out of the room and she asked the doctor, you know, is this something that will spread for her? And the doctor said, no, it's something that's in the eye and that's all that it will be. So we both left, obviously still in shock, but
like with some numb,
like didn't know what to do, didn't want to Google anything. It was a Friday, so my mom had worked, she had worked the whole weekend, and they said, we'll call you on Monday and we'll get you to a specialist in Chicago. So I just had to sit around and wait, try and get myself out of bed. Of course, you know, I Googled one thing and the little blurb that popped up, the first thing on Google, the first sentence was not very good. So obviously that was in my head now. Panic. sent to Chicago. That doctor was very good, knowledgeable, but had me deathly afraid. I walked out of the office thinking, am I even still alive? Like, so then I knew that it could spread and all the other good stuff that will happen, could happen, sorry. And yeah, I just didn't like the vibe of her. So it was a lot of work, but I went to see another doctor in Chicago. I kept talking with my primary care physician team and, begging them about what else can we do. The doctor that was 30 minutes away, the one that said, yes, this is melanoma, she reached out to me after and asked me how things were going. And she was the one who told me about Dr. Shields at Will's Eye. So she's like, if you want the best out here, the best of the best of the best, go to Dr. Shields if you have the means. And I'm like, what? So then it was in my head, there's nothing else happening besides I'm going to see Dr. Shields.
You're like, and this has to happen now.
And now it's happening. So even though it was even more hard too, because obviously we have treating doctors here in Chicago that could have done other things, or they could have done the plaque, or they could have done the proton beam, or so I obviously wanted to try and save my eye, which I have. So I thought, well, let's get out there, and a lot of hard work, but we got it to work. And I met her and she said, your tumor is medium large. It's on the heavy end of medium. We don't make plaques much bigger than the one that we have to do for you. So we're going to give you the biggest one to make sure we get the surrounding area. I got the notch because that's my tumor was on my optic nerve pushing up against it, which I have a picture of my green goblin friend.
Oh, lovely.
Which, there you go. It sure isn't green, I guess, in real life, but it shows up on that green. Oh gosh.
Isn't that so crazy? Like what they do with the imaging to like make it show up, and you're like, whoa, okay,
yes.
cool.
Yep.
So, okay, you got diagnosed, you came to terms with the kind of the roller coaster of this diagnosis of, no, this is just in your eye, nothing's going to spread, to like within really a few days, like actually this has a high risk of spreading. We need to take care of this rapidly. Here's the best doctor you could go see, go to Philadelphia. So you see Dr. Shields, she tells you can do the plaque. And then, when did your plaque take place, kind of in comparison to your diagnosis?
It was end of February 20.
So it was about a month, right?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Which I feel like, did you feel like that was like insanely long to wait for like a month after they tell you all this high risk stuff, and you're like, okay, so then shouldn't I already be treated now? Like if this is so important, then why are we waiting?
Yes. And I couldn't wait. Once I knew it was booked, and this thing that's alive in my eye and is potentially going through everywhere around in my body, I want it dead as soon as possible. So having it booked was, there you go. Okay, you lost me. Having it booked was such a relief. Fine. Hold on.
Okay, I think we're back. I think that my internet just wigged out. So I'm just gonna go on my data and hopefully that'll work. I always forget to do that on my phone. So you were told to do the plaque and you were like, let's just do this. I just want to take it care of.
Yes. Yeah. And I felt a lot better, and I couldn't wait to get out there and have the torture treatment that it was. But 5 days I had it in, and I was really optimistic about having the plaque. I think by this time now someone had advised me, I think it was my husband, yes, who found the Facebook page about ocular melanoma, the one that we're on together. Mm-hmm. Which was great. Then by now I'd ask questions. What do I expect? And I don't know why, but there were some people saying terrible, some people saying, oh, I did this. Little did I realize, it's all different placements in the eye, different sizes, and everyone does not have the same experience at all.
Yeah, for sure. The plaque is totally different depending on all of those factors.
Yeah. So I thought, well, I'm gonna like bring my yoga mat. I'm going to bring a puzzle. I'm gonna be reading a book. I
You had
joked.
all these grand, wonderful
Yeah.
plans.
Yes. So yeah, for Will's Eye, they make you, this is recent. I don't know if they've always done this, but you go to the local hotel. They make
Okay.
you stay in the hotel. They give you the plaque in your eye. You go to the hotel and you're there for the 5 days until your surgery again.
So
Um,
were you able to have anyone with you? I mean, obviously not your kids, but like, did you have a care person kind of help with things?
yes, one person until like, I think they said the rule was like after 24 hours, then you can get a little bit closer to that person and someone else can come in the room. But yeah, no kids, obviously. So my
So
mom
at the
was with
time, your kids were how old?
they were 4 and 7.
Okay. So still like pretty little, but like
Yeah.
7-year-old, probably old enough to kind of be a little worried, like mom's gone. Why is she
Yeah.
gone?
Yes. Yeah. I think, and at the time, and what I've still always kind of say, because don't want to talk to them about it all now, especially Lila. So I just say, mom's getting her eye checked out and we want to make sure that it's healthy. And, it's important to go to the doctor when, especially when you get older, there's a lot of things that could happen. I just make up stuff kind of, but I had to tell them something was going on with my eye because my
It looked
eye
different.
was not the same when I got back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I totally get that.
yeah. So
And
they knew
like our
that.
kids are pretty similar in age. I think my daughter's 5, so she's a little older than Lila, but yeah, she is the one who doesn't really have as much of an idea of like what's going on. But I mean, they know. I told them like a little bit more directly, just because that's what I was comfortable with, and just told them like what a tumor is, and I showed Joshua pictures of it, and like look, like this was what was in mommy's eye, and this is why I have to go and have this surgery, and why I'm going to be gone for a little while, and
Yeah.
um, but I just thinking about the hotel room and things, that was an option for me, like to go and like get a hotel room. I didn't, because I was a little worried about like not really being able to like have access to people or help or whatever. And I was one of those people too who was like optimistic going into the plaque week. Mine was 7 days. And I was like, yes, I'm going to read books. I'm going to like do some work on my computer. I'm going to like get some stuff done. Cause I'm like talking to other people who are telling me like that was their experience. And I'm like, cool, that'll be mine too. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And then I literally, I mean, the first few days I was practically blind because like I couldn't open both eyes. Like I couldn't open this one, but I also couldn't open this one because it was like, I don't want to open, like I'm too traumatized. So it's just like, you never know what to expect. So I guess I feel like always go into it expecting you're going to need more support than you think you will.
Yeah.
And if you don't, great, you're over prepared. But
Yes, I had
like
the
it's
support.
never going to
I had
hurt.
the support. Mhm.
And that's good. Okay, so you have the plaque, and obviously it was kind of worse than maybe you expected, with the pain and
But
the
whatever, I didn't
discomfort.
care. Just
You're
get
just
this
like, I
thing
just want
done.
this done with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to the end of that. Did you have any of like the muscles? Did they have to cut any of the muscles in your eye? Did Dr. Shields have to like snip a
Yeah.
muscle to like kind of get around?
I did.
Just because
So
yours was closer to your optic nerve in the back of your eyeball, basically,
yeah.
right?
Yep. Kind of
Yeah, and I
wrapped
think
around.
that would make sense.
Yes, so they did. And I mean, at the time they had said, Dr. Shields said, just some things to be prepared for. Your eyelid may be droopy forever unless you get a surgery. You may lose your eyelashes. You may, it may never look the same, whatever. I didn't care, whatever it was. I have all my eyelashes. Surprisingly, I don't know how I didn't lose them.
I know. I feel the same way. They told me I was going to lose all my eyelashes, and I think maybe just the placement of the radiation has an impact, because mine, the radiation was mostly pulsing back and not forward. And I think that maybe if it goes, back into the back of your direction, then that maybe makes a difference. But I just have no idea. Maybe our eyelashes just like to stick on our eyes better.
Good.
we'll take it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the plaque, you're out of this 5 days in the hotel, you get to go home.
Yeah.
How was your recovery and everything after that?
Um,
Like maybe first 2 to 3 months, how would you
yeah, I
describe
would
it?
say the most painful thing was the sun.
Just
Just
like overly
anything.
sensitive.
Yep, so sensitive. I wore those ridiculous sunglasses that they gave me that had the wraparound. They were not comfortable to my head at all. They were plastic and cheap and digging in the back of my ears. But it was way better than having them off, or any of my other sunglasses even. In the house, I wore them all the time, with most of the time the blinds, closed if they could be.
So did
Yeah.
you at this point have sight in your eye, like in your OMI?
Yes. I remember the day I finally took off the patch I went home with,
Mm-hmm.
and I cleaned it out, and I was just expecting immediately to be nothing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see.
Yeah,
I was
that's
shocked.
gotta be a good surprise.
I was shocked. But I mean, since then it has gone drastically.
Just kind of deteriorated from there.
Yeah. I mean, they said probably a year, you'll probably not have any. So I'm a year.
Well, hey, I'm over here at like 9 months and I haven't been able to see for like 3. So
I know.
well,
So
and even then I couldn't see much before.
yeah. So I'm still getting used to that a little bit, because what I do see kind of bothers me a little bit sometimes.
It's almost like more disorienting to even be able to see anything at all. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I do drive like this. Yeah.
You just need to get one of those like cover eye patches to just wear when you drive, and you'll feel like super badass.
I do have some patches. Yeah. So maybe I should just use them for driving.
Okay, so you said you do drive. I know some people I've talked to don't drive. They're too worried about driving. Do you have anything on your car? Like I have car sensors. Do you have sensors that help you?
Yes. We have the sensors, and me and Dunk just actually bought another car, and my first thing was, Dunk, does it have all the Like, I didn't even care. Please, does it have all the sensors?
Like I need the blind spot detection system.
Yeah.
Is it there? I feel like that definitely helps. Okay, so like
Can't drive at night. No driving at night.
Night driving is a lot worse. I still do it sometimes, but I can I don't like it as much if I can avoid it. It's it's just more disorienting. Everything feels more fireworky and flashy, and that's definitely frustrating. Okay, so what's something maybe that you wish that you had known, like going into this diagnosis in general? And really like just the last year and a half.
Well, what would I have known? Wish I known. Maybe more about the spread. I just kind of naively thought it definitely that wouldn't happen. I'm not saying that it will, but I didn't realize all of the, getting the class done, what that would actually mean, for getting scans all the time, and basically for the rest of our lives, of course, but how often. I wish I knew more about that. Obviously I know a lot of that now, but
yeah. And so like, I mean, I don't know, in some ways I feel the same way, but at the same time, it was kind of one of those things that I feel like we would have just had to learn it as a process anyway.
Yeah.
And so like, there's really no, like, or we wish we could have known it, but like, really we couldn't have known it until we did. And we kind of just knew about it in pieces.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
so
a good thing though. Really taking things as they come, step by step, is how I've done the whole thing, and how I would recommend anyone to do this, because no sense getting like worked up about other things. Like, I don't research anything until it's in my
part
face.
of a part of your reality.
Until it's a part of my reality, my circle, whatever. I
Definitely
try not to, because
in the what if.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of what ifs, and they may not apply to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing that you feel like has helped you, is to like kind of not live in that what if place. So what would you say maybe are the other top 2 things that you feel like has helped you over the last year and a half, just in mentally and emotionally coping?
Yeah, well, definitely my family has been amazing. I have a big family and I love them all dearly. Obviously, it wasn't easy getting diagnosed with this and then the pandemic.
Yeah, like bam.
And I'm such a people person. I like to, I'm not really a homebody, though now I feel like I've learned how to do that. Definitely. I think everyone's learned how to do that over last year. But so yeah, having that was definitely a little bit of a struggle, but my family did everything that they could throughout the whole time. Friends too, like I remember going to Jefferson Hospital and one of the questionnaires said something like, do you have a support group? Do you have people? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine not, for someone that doesn't, oh my gosh, or doesn't even know about the Facebook group that we have, because that's helped me a lot. And then besides that, other things that I've done, mentally is I have taken time every day to spend more time on me, alone time, going for a walk, meditating. I never meditated. I never understood how someone had the time to do that.
Until you do, and then you're like, or you have to,
I
and
know.
you're just like,
Yeah,
okay, now I can't live
5
without
minutes,
this.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, amazing. I've always worked out and I still continue to do that. So yeah, those things are huge. Going for long walks, huge. I need to decompress with my earbuds and a podcast.
Love that. Love that. Okay, I love podcasts too. What is one of your favorite podcasts? I know this is kind of a spur of the moment one, but like just maybe what's one that you've listened to recently that somebody can try to look up just to help with positivity or mindset or learning things?
The first thing that comes up are I do all crime, murder, mysteries. So those are
so you
I
like
wouldn't
the
say
entertainment
positive.
podcasts.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
do. I do. So yeah, I've always been a huge, CSI kind of crime investigation discovery nerd. But yeah, last year it did come to a point, especially early on with my diagnosis, of I need something happy. Does anyone have any happy shows that I can watch?
Sure.
And I do have a good list of those, but I've watched them all. Now I'm back to my crimes.
You're like, okay, now I can like invest in this crazy story again because it doesn't feel quite as crazy.
I do like that. And I do like just regular meditating ones that I go to, or the daily. I listen to that to just, I don't watch the news anymore. So then I get a little something going on in the world. Yep.
Okay. All right. So I know that obviously because we're both in the same clinical trial, or at least some part of it, I know that you were diagnosed with the class 2 biopsy. Obviously not everybody chooses to have the biopsy done, but you did. And so you got that class 2 kind of conclusion from this biopsy. And then kind of how did you find Dr. Sato's trial? And, kind of what was the decision-making process around that?
When I heard, when they said class 2 on the phone, I don't know if I would have ever even gotten over there if I didn't go to Dr. Shields and get the biopsy down there. And, all those things just worked in that manner. I'm not sure. I think I would have held a whole different way of life right now. I don't know if I would have gone on the trial meeting. So thankfully, my biopsy was done out there and they had linked me and said, there are trials. You can go, they'll speak to Dr. Sato's team, and we'll get you out there. So, I spoke with them. I do have a random piece of paper, I'm sure here, where it's scribbled this way, scribbled this way, scribbled this way, with a million notes of my first conversation with them out there.
I have one of those too. It's in a notebook.
Yes, and I have it still.
And it's all the crazy things that I wrote down from talking to him the first time. Yeah.
And looking at it and thinking, oh my gosh, this could help me. Being on this trial, being on the student trial for a year could help me maybe lessen my odds of spread by 15% is what they told me. We hope. And I thought, okay, let me look at this paper again. It's got a million things that could go wrong. I'm not talking, like I'm talking more bad side effects and all this other things. And only 15%, I was like, come on, really? And you're not even guaranteeing this, this is just a maybe.
Well, we're just hoping for this.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately it was, I will do anything to be here for my kids as long as I possibly can be. If this whole year because I'm almost finishing the trial coming up in July, has been for only to help me out in life a month, it was worth it. I don't know, anything, it was worth it. I would do anything to continue on. I want to be on another trial, but they won't let me.
Well, I feel like you, when we were kind of talking about, like, I was talking to you about wanting to start the trial, and I was telling you the things that I was worried about. I had a lot of the same concerns. And since I'm on 2 of the medications instead of just one, it's kind of like I've got double the side effect stuff going on. And so that was, a high probability and a big worry for me. But I remember you talking to me, and you mentioned something like about your mom and your conversation with your mom, and that like she was kind of one of the driving forces behind you just being like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like,
yeah, she for sure was like, you're gonna do this, right? I'm like, yes, but like, can we talk about this? Like there's a lot of things.
This is concerning to me, and that I don't really feel like this is enough.
Right. And I would talk to my grandma. I think I called her after and was like, all right, let's really get down to this, grandma. Like, listen to these side effects.
And it's like pages.
Yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, I can understand your worry, and like things I never even heard of that were on there as side effects. I didn't Google. Yeah. Because why would I? I'm still here today and I feel fine. I would recommend the trial to someone who wanted to do it. I did have like,
you've had a few different kind of dips, haven't you? Like just with, was it your white blood cell count was like would sometimes come in low, and then they would pull you off.
Yeah, my neutrophils were like the number one thing that, if they go so low, you're at super high risk for infection.
Which last year was doubly concerning.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm like, oh great, and I'm gonna die of COVID, damn it.
You're like, and thank you very much.
Yeah, last year was. So that happened a few times. Definitely I remember it right before Christmas, and how bummed it was. Yeah, by that time, that was probably I think Christmas was the second time this happened to me. And I remember just breaking down in tears, like, come on, I just want to get out, finish my last stuff of shopping that I have to do, finish this. Yeah, and then finally, I think January or February, it happened again. Oh, is it your kids? Is it the kiddos?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. I just was like, I can hear them over there, and I know that my microphone picks it up, and I'm like, guys, I talked to you. You cannot come outside the door. Anyway, they're 7 and 5. They don't listen. But so like you did the trial, and you have not had maybe as crazy of side effects.
Well, yeah,
like, in some ways.
Yeah, my hair had changed color. My skin has been really sensitive.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. That's like, I got sunburned the other day, and I was like, I swear I put on sunscreen. Like, what the heck?
Yes, it's been so sensitive. Like, and I'm normally a sensitive skin person anyways, but it's worse. What else has been going on? Yeah, a few other things. I don't know if we want to discuss, but
all of the fun GI stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have to go into that.
And now bleeding. That's another thing.
That's not fun.
Yeah, but we have a few weeks left.
Yeah, you're super close to the end. And that's crazy because like I remember you telling me that every couple weeks you would talk to Dr. Sato or somebody on his team, and he'd be like, we have to take you off the medication, or like, we think we might have to do this. Like, don't don't get your hopes up. You might not make it. And like, I feel like he's so funny, like in that sense. Obviously he's just protecting patients and he just wants us to, he doesn't want to do more harm than good. And so that's kind of the constant way of this trial, or really any trial, is like what good is this going to do versus the bad, and does the good outweigh the bad? And really there's not a for sure way to know until you're on a trial. And I feel like one of the things that was reassuring to me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, I feel like one of the things that was reassuring to me was knowing that like, they weren't going to force me to finish it. I like was 2 months into it or 2 weeks into it. Like, I feel like crap, I cannot do this anymore. They would see from the trial and just stop taking the medication altogether, and it would be fine. There was nothing holding me there. I wasn't legally bound or anything.
That's why I ended up going for it too. Like, you don't have to, if you go on the trial and you absolutely hate it and something's crazy going on, then stop, get off. You did what you tried, and move on. You
can at least then say, you know, then you know in your head, like, I tried. And that was what I felt like I wanted. At the end of the day, I felt like if in 2, 5, 10, 15 years, something else happened later and there was some kind of a spread, I wanted to be able to look back and say, like, well, I did something. I did what I could. I did what I could, and that was the best that I could do. And that's okay. Okay.
I'm nervous to get off. I'm nervous to get off of the trial, but
yeah, just like in that sense of feeling like, well, what am I going to do next? And how are we going to prevent this next? No, I understand that. I'm only 6 months into the trial, but I still, that kind of comes up for me every now and then. It's like, well, what can I do after this? Like, how can we help prevent this? And really, like, can we keep figuring out things to prevent this? Because it would be great if there was more of an answer than, well, we just have to watch you. We're going to hope it doesn't spread. Like, by the way, it really could, and we can't do much about it. So like, good luck.
I know.
I'm like, okay, well, good luck.
That. Like, good luck.
Yay.
What? Tell me something.
No, for sure. So, but obviously, despite all of this, despite the class 2 diagnosis, doing the trial, all of the ups and downs that come with this kind of a diagnosis, you're here a year and a half later, and you are, I mean, I guess in my mind, I see you as someone who's thriving. Like, you are still living your life. You're enjoying life. Maybe even enjoying life more than you were to begin with a year and a half ago, because your perspective has shifted. And and it shows. I feel like it shows in the way that you lead your life and the way that you connect with people and reach out to, you know, people like me who were like in the kind of in the abyss of crazy.
So everyone should know that your story on the Facebook page is somehow, you know, got feelings up within me.
It's just the writer in me. I just like, I can just like put out my feelings for everyone so that they all feel them too. It's great.
Right. And that's why I private messaged you. And then me and you have been, you know, talking since August. I went and checked last night. I was thinking about
You're
this.
Like, oh, wow.
And even to the point where your dad was messaging me when you had the plaque in your eye.
Oh, my dad did?
Your dad.
I forgot about that. Sorry. My parents are wonderful and supportive, and they've been awesome this whole last year.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh.
I feel like that was when I couldn't see. And that was when I couldn't see. And I was like, Dad, you've got to text Lexi and tell her what's up. Or ask her a question.
So
maybe it was ask you a question.
I can't wait. Next week.
Okay. Well, yes, we are meeting next week. We're super excited. Maybe we'll like share some stuff and stories in here about our trip together. And okay, last question, and then I gotta go because I gotta get my kids to swim team.
Yes.
So actually, I guess
I hope I have an answer.
One is you have scans every 3 months. I know this because I have scans every 3 months. And that's what happens with the class 2 diagnosis. At least here in the States, they push for that every 3-month monitoring. So for you have the scans that are coming up. You know they're coming up this week. What's been helping you kind of stay centered and sane and like, you know, not go totally crazy, but at the same time accepting that like the anxiety feeling is real and that it's okay and you're a normal human for feeling it.
Yes, I think that it like does, no matter what, I feel fine in between. Like, you know, I just went to Florida, and I remember I booked that Florida trip as soon as I got my good results from my 3 months ago. And I'm like, let's go to Florida. As soon as I got the results, I booked it that day. and yeah, and I always think, oh, then you don't forget about it, but you do kind of just push it away.
It just, yeah, it's like not at the forefront of
And
your
then
brain.
when it's coming to it, where you have to make the call, here we go, I have to book it all again. Yeah, and I always think it's fine, it's no big deal. Like on the scan day, I am like happy. I'm trying to make friends with the people there. I ask them what days they work so I could see them next time I'm there. I want the same people. Like I kind of like the repetition of seeing the familiar face. They know my story. Dealing with the
That you're not
anxiety.
like saying the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again every 3 months. Like, oh yeah, I have ocular melanoma. You don't know what that is? Well, let me explain. That's a good idea. I like that idea of just like making sure that your scans happen as regularly as possible with the same people. I think that would be reassuring, especially for maybe for anyone who deals with a lot of anxiety. In addition to this, like I think if you're already predisposed to being an anxious person, this could be a tool you could use, like from Lexi, of just like go and schedule your scans with the same people and know who's working when to help you, like to help yourself.
My veins are really small and they have been troubled, obviously, with all the blood work we have to do, me and you, and being on the trial every 2 weeks. So I think, you know, the nervousness of the scans is a little bit, because last time I was there 3 months ago, I got poked, you remember, like 500 times. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to get this in my leg eventually. So I am nervous for that. And I know this time I'm just going to say, can I have the best person, please? The best one that can just
do it fast and make it so I don't feel
easy.
anything.
Yeah, because I do have the CT this time and the MRI and the echo. Yeah, so we got all that. Yep, all the good stuff.
Okay, so leading up to the scans, you kind of prepare ahead of time. I like what you said about how at the end of your trip at the end of your scans last time you booked a trip. And maybe it doesn't have to be a trip, but that you use that as something to be like, okay, now what am I going to do to celebrate, to live life, to like remember that I'm still alive because I am. And to just, you know, live in that kind of a way. I think that can be really helpful. And I did the same thing because we booked a trip to Hawaii and then we got back from Hawaii and I was like, hey, now I got to schedule my MRI. Yay me. And that's always fun.
Reality.
Back to reality. But you know, the fun, I feel like not the fun thing, but really the thing that helps me, and maybe you do this too, is I can look back now and I can say, well, I've had scans every 3 months for this long now, and I handled it all of these other times. I can handle it today. Like, or, you know, I can handle it this month. And just to kind of remind myself of like, look what you've already done. This is not new. You've done this before. And to just live in that place of what's present and what do you know? And what you know right now is that it hasn't spread. That's what you know right now, is as of your last scans, you're totally fine. You're tolerating the trial as best as you can. Your eye is doing the best that it can. I know we didn't really touch on this, but I know you said you've been having the Avastin shots. And those have been, I know just from talking to you afterwards, sometimes those have been a little like, bleh.
They're not, they're, it sounds worse than really what it is.
I have not started those yet. So, you know, I'll start those soon, is what I've heard. But, but like overall, you know, living in that place of the present instead of the what if or the what could be, or worrying twice.
You know, Dr. Orloff had said to me, Alexis, realize the standard protocol for what you have for class 2 is exactly what you're doing. You're being scanned.
Yeah. Like that's all that they
just
can
be
do.
happy. And just be happy too. You were able to do the trial. You're on the trial. That's an added bonus. So
for sure.
You're doing what you should be doing. Even though I'm going to be like, what else could I do? Like I said, stand on my head. I don't know.
Stand on my head, go like do some crazy rain dance, naked in the rain. Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that in Philadelphia.
We'll do that in Philly.
Okay, so last question, and then I know we got to go. But what is one of your favorite songs? Something that just has uplifted you or helped you over the last year, or just ever in your life?
Yes. You know, when you said that last night, I was like, come on, favorite song. I have 1,000, but
I know. If you had to pick one today.
Coldplay is a good one, and Up and Up Love that
That's a
song.
good one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I like all music, all
I'm
day.
definitely a music person
Yeah.
too. I have like a Spotify playlist and I swear I go
Yeah.
into these interviews and I'm like, oh, that song. And go add that to my playlist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Lexi, thank you so much for joining us and for
Yes.
chatting
And
so
thanks for
openly
doing this. Yep. Thank you.
and
Thank
for
you.
like being flexible, obviously with our time weirdness, because that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording over here on the Zoom.
Okay.
Hold on. That's not what I need to do. That's weird.